Dan? There's no
Stan.
Dan. Oh, Stan. There's no Stan either. Where are you seeing
I hit
Stan?
talk button.
Oh, there it is. Respectively, Stan. What? Respectively, Stan? Are you jacking my style? Because I'm objectively Dan, and you're respectively Stan, and I think there's some mischief at play here. What is this?
Well, first, thank you for having me on Truth Wanted. No, but really,
this is. I get it. Very funny. This is Talk Heathen today, folks. It's Talk Heathen, not Truth Wanted. All right, I see the chat saying it every time. It's Talk Heathen. Okay.
Right. No, but really, so like, first, just let me say, I want to thank you guys and the work you guys do, the whole ACA. I come from a very religious, even though I'm in California, I come from an extremely like religious family, and when I deconverted in my late 20s, I didn't understand how to think about things, like at all. I didn't know the term agnostic. I thought an atheist was somebody that denied God. Like, all the typical tropes. You already know, right?
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for creating this community, which I leaned on a lot just to get my bearings,
Stan.
as a jumping off point. So,
Jim and I didn't create this community, but I think we can both say we're very happy to be a part of it. At least I can speak for myself. I was in the same boat as you, Stan. I had no idea how to think properly. I had no idea of the real definition of these terms. And so it's cool to find other people and realize, oh, wait, there is a whole community talking about this and I've been missing out. So glad you're on board with us.
Great. So my topic for today is nihilism. I am in a perpetual state of questioning my existence, reality, whatever. It's just kind of where I live. I'm a deep thinker, overthinker, whatever.
Yeah.
But I wonder. So I see. So for me personally, I'm trying to find my way through, right? So I kind of had this existential crisis where I fell into a depression. Obviously, coming to the realization, no God and everything, what that entails. And I'm trying to find my way through. I cannot get past nihilism. So my next step is trying to find the optimistic side of it, which I am trying to do. It's kind of hard, but it's, it's a battle. And I'm just wondering, should we embrace it and try to move from there? I don't know if you guys have any opinions on this.
I do. I have a lot of opinions on this. I have a lot of opinions. Okay. Because I went through the same boat and in some ways I still go through the same boat, right? Because when I was a Christian, I thought my career, I was going to work for Christian nonprofits. Ironically enough, I really did. I thought I was maybe going to do mission work. I thought my life was going to be centered around some form of doing Christian work. And so suddenly when I lost that faith, right, I not only lost a belief system, I lost a sense of life purpose. So that was really hard to deal with. And this is another reason why people still believe, right? They can't afford not to believe because their sanity prevents them, right? Like this is how they get up in the morning. Some people will openly admit that. It's rough. So how do we deal with that? Well, first thing, Stan, and I mean this in the most sincere way possible, seek therapy. Seek therapy, seriously, because
I've done recently, just coming off a year, which has helped me immensely.
Fantastic.
So I can't even talk to my family about things, just the ability to have somebody that I can talk to openly and honestly about what's going through my head.
Absolutely.
You don't.
And here's
maybe you do, but yeah.
That's great. But let me point out this because I put that out there as the first piece of advice, right? And some people will look at that and say, "Oh, well, isn't that evidence that atheism, causes mental illness or is the result of mental illness?" No. The reason why you go to therapy is because, exactly because of the reasons you said, right? We all need people to talk to about these things. And when you're a Christian, you can talk to pretty much whoever you want, even atheists, right? Because a lot of atheists, they just kind of have to, kind of be quiet on the issues sometimes because we live in a Christian majority country. But when you're an atheist, especially when if you're alone in a place and you don't feel like you have the support system you need, that becomes draining on people. So like I think, and again, I mean this in the most sincere way, the nihilism that you're feeling, part of that is feelings. Part of that is just feelings that you kind of have to work through, and it's stuff I have to still work through, honestly. So
if I can push back on that a little bit, I understand the feelings part, but just on a purely intellectual plane, I can't get past that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If you want to talk about the pure philosophy, okay, I don't think humans exist for any inherent purpose, right? So if that's your take on the situation, that's my take on the situation, right? How we deal with that, that's when nihilism turns into existentialism, which is how do we create life purposes for ourselves, right? For me, part of that is doing shows like this. Part of that is doing good in my career. Part of that is doing good in the relationships that I hold. And that's about as much as I can do as far as grand meaning. I don't know how you're coping, Stan, and I hope you're coping well, but I would suggest like these are the things that you can kind of deal with to cope with, because it really is just coping with the big empty, right? Because that's all we got.
So for me, I'm kind of at this place of optimistic nihilism where I'm trying to, I don't know if this is the right way, because obviously it's all a work in progress, you know, but I'm trying to embrace the fact that things are meaningless. I know that, that's in our society, I know that's a horrible thing to say, because I'm supposed to be optimistic and everything's great and I'm working towards my purpose, you know, but I am not that person, and I'm trying to find and understand that, okay, let's presume life has no meaning, right? And the actions that I have, even actually in the long term, have no meaning. One day I'm going to die. Nobody's going to remember my name. And I'm trying to find the positive side in that. And one outcome has been I am less critical of my mistakes because of this realization that, hey, I made a mistake, but you know what? I'm going to forget about it next week. I try to remind myself, you know, nobody's going to be talking about it. You know, but I do have this kind of issue. I don't know if I want to call it an issue. It just kind of doesn't sit well with me that there's this tagline in the atheist community about I create my own purpose. And it doesn't sit well with me.
Doesn't convince you, huh?
Well, it doesn't convince me. I don't think it does anything for me. Like, I think it's meaningless to say that.
Okay.
It's essentially meaningless to say I create my own purpose, because when it's just like when somebody says, oh, God is everything. Well, now they just redefined God, right? Or they're creating their own sense of God. So when someone says my purpose in life is to do this, there's an understanding that the way that they're using it, at least typically in society, that it is a given purpose, right? So when someone says, oh, I create my own purpose, you have now then switch the definition of purpose to fit a different perspective.
I disagree with that entirely, 100%. Because purpose there's nothing has intrinsic purpose, nothing has intrinsic meaning. But all that comes from us. That the purpose of something, we say that a tree, well, let me finish. We say a tree's purpose is to produce oxygen, right? We say that a hammer's purpose is to put nails in wood. We say that. And and we provide that meaning. So, and that's fine, because that's the way it should be. We should be doing that. We shouldn't be allowing some fictional being from some badly written piece of fantasy novel determine for us what our purpose is. We should be doing that for ourselves. So that's not changing the usage of the word purpose or meaning. That's reappropriating it the way it should have been from the beginning. It should never have been purpose and meaning come from a God or come from something external to ourselves. Society can't determine what our purpose and meaning is. We have to. It's on us to do that. And that is really, really cool.
Right. So I understand all of that, right? I totally get that, you know, we assign purpose, especially to something like a hammer, we design that too, right? My only pushback is, and I'm reiterating, if you're trying to have a conversation about God, right?
Yeah.
There is especially in Western culture and America, right? There is an implicit understanding there. And not fully, because everybody has nuance, but there is a typical understanding there. And when you say the same thing about purpose, there's also a typical understanding there. And I'm not saying that words have meanings, they have usages. I understand that fully. But I do think that in the same way that if someone says, do you believe in God? And I say, no. And they say, oh, you don't believe in everything, or you don't believe in energy. I'm like, I didn't know that's what you meant. In the same way, when we try to use purpose, it can be kind of obfuscating the conversation.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I totally get what you're saying, Stan.
Oh yeah,
I totally get it, because like when I first read Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus, I was working a dead end job, and the famous line from that book is, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." Right? Sisyphus is this character that's pushing this rock up on a hill for all eternity, for no inherent reason, because he was punished by the gods. And when I first read that, I thought, this is stupid. This doesn't give me any comfort. This is just coping, right? Just coping with the situation. But then I kind of realized that's kind of the point, right? Like in the same way that religious people do use what you kind of described as like an explanation for their life purpose, they're coping with the reality of existentialism in the same way we are. They're just using it through religion, almost kind of like what folks like Soren Kierkegaard would do, right? Like we are doing the same thing when we say life gives us purpose, or we have to define our own purpose. That is us coping with, the void, with the world, and we just have to accept that. I don't have any other way around that, right? Maybe that's one of the potential downsides of atheism, is that it's not as clear cut, right? But it does have the advantages, right? You do kind of figure out what values most to you, and you can create what I would call meaning from that. But it is complicated. It's not as a nice of an answer as I wish it could be.
Right. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on just hypothetical situation? You say, oh, do you believe in God? No, I don't believe in God. Well, then how do you have purpose? And instead of saying, oh, I create my own purpose, just saying there is no purpose. Like just coming to that admission, there is no purpose. And,
well,
because it's not true.
You could,
because it's not true.
No
for me.
intrinsic purpose.
Make joy.
No intrinsic purpose.
Oh, I find my own joy. I create my own joy.
Yeah.
Like I
create my own joy.
These things.
That's a good way to put it. I would. Yeah. Well, I don't get asked too often, what's your purpose? Well, actually, that's not true. I probably get asked more than the average person because of the call-in show stuff. But like in my daily life, people aren't asking me, Dan, what's your purpose in life? But I guess if somebody came up to me on the street, I would say, I don't know that I have a purpose in life, but I do have things that find me joy. And I do think that there's a nobility in the sense of justice that I pursue, because I am passionate about that kind of stuff. And I do stuff because I think it impacts other people. And at the end of the day, all we have are people. So that gives me enough closure. But I guess what we're looking for here, Stan, is something that really gives us closure. And I don't know if that's something somebody else can answer for you. That might be something you have to find for yourself, Yeah.
Yeah, I don't expect to find that anytime soon. I do. I mean, it may be semantics or pedantic to have kind of an objection to that usage.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of sparks. So just for a quick background, like I was told that I was God. I fully expected to go into the ministry.
Yeah.
So when I hear that tagline, or even the word purpose, it just brings back a flood of like all the things I'm not going to be. And not that I want those things, but just kind of then I think about the security that I had and such like drive and direction I had prior to everything. And now that's gone. And I don't regret it at all. I kind of am starting to enjoy it, the freedom of it. But yeah, I guess
it's coping. It's coping. That's all it really is. I can't say, oh, here's the answer on a silver platter. It's no, we kind of have to just make do as humans. And that's scary and that's hard and that's nuanced and complicated. But in my opinion, it's a better life to live than to live in a fantasy or to live in a world that isn't actually helping people. I do think that we can actually help people through freeing ourselves and through going through that period of deconstruction, from wherever your starting point is, even if you started off not believing anything, still having moments of deconstruction and figuring out yourself and your life and your path. But anyway, sorry, Stan, we have to move on because we have a lot of other callers, and I don't know how much time we have left here. So I wish you well on your journey in life. I hope we were able to give you some answers, and I like the name. It's a bit derivative, but it is what it is. So anyway, thank you, Stan. I appreciate your time.